Alright, hopefully going live. We will see. Alright. Hello, Zepzax, how you doing? Goodness. I'm gonna get this all set up here. You changed your name, so who were you before? It's the fun of, I don't have any of that. So I'm not sure who you are if you've changed your name. Okay, switcheroo. Alright. I mean, I recognize it as a new name, new person, but I can never assume that it's someone who's been on the stream before, so I would actually tend to assume it's someone who hasn't been on the stream before. Let's see. I think a lot of what I'm going to be building here is a roof. So I think I'm going to be able to set this whole thing aside for now. Just finished watching Breaking Bad and got all your knowledge straight. Breaking Bad is one of the best television shows. So you just finished watching Breaking Bad. Does that mean you finished the entire series? Or you just finished watching an episode? I just finished watching an episode of The Orville myself, so... Breaking Bad is one of the better television shows to have ever been produced. Ready to cook, yeah. Don't know about that. There's actually a town near to where I live, as most things are in my knowledge. That was for a while was considered, I think, the U.S. meth capital of the world. Like, a lot of meth was produced in this one little small town. I don't think it holds that title anymore. If it wasn't the world, it was at least of the U.S. Crazy amounts of meth were apparently made there. But I'm glad to not have that type of nonsense anywhere near where I live again, if that was the case. It just seems like it breeds bad things. Well, it's a really good series, though. I don't know that I considered that it ended the strongest, but at least it ended, and it ended pretty well. I think it probably could have I don't know. The ending kind of felt very rushed to me. So much of that series took its time with everything, and it was always a slow burn in a good way. And then it just kind of felt like the ending was suddenly there. I know about Dolly, the website. It's so creepy. I have heard about it, and you're going to have to remind me what it is, and then I will remember. I know it. I can't recall anything about it off the top of my head right now. It's like internet knowledge things. You kind of know it, and then there's the next weird thing to come along to make you forget everything you knew about the other weird thing. Suppose I could just look it up. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's the machine learning stuff. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the picture generation software. Yeah, yeah. I've messed with the Dolly Mini. Now that I think about it, just kind of poked around at it once or twice, but never really spent a lot of time with it. Couldn't remember if it was one of the weird websites or one of the newer things. Again, it rang a bell, but I didn't recall exactly what it was off the top of my head. It does produce some weird images when you see some of the things that people create with it. I think there's actually a comic book out there that was generated, like all the images were completely generated by AI. I feel like that's a thing that I am mildly aware of. Don't know why you got this live in your feed, but I look dedicated indeed. Leaving a tactical like and subscribe just in case. Cheers from Italy. Well, thank you from America. Um, Italy, kind of late out there, but thank you. I started publishing the live stream as a public feed, so it can be picked up by the algorithm a little bit. So that's probably why it's showing up on someone's feed. You never know what type of things you might find on YouTube. My mother's side of the family is from Italy. I'm talking about Dali. I'm trying to remember which like heritage site it was. It's like Family Heritage or something. There's a website that would actually allow you to feed pictures to it, and they would animate the image. And they basically, the way it would work, it would take a 2D image of a face and it would map it to like a 3D model and then animate the 3D model. And I played around with that once or twice with some family photos of, like, you know, pictures of my uncles from Italy. And yeah, it's it was weird to kind of have that feel like it was brought to life. But then I did animate family pictures of people I knew, and it just felt foreign and wrong, like you were looking at some alien. How do I deal with dust on my Lego constructions? I actually really like the very fine dusters that have a ton of little small bristles. I feel like they work the best. They kind of get into things. Also, canned air works really well in some applications. I actually bought an electric canned air thing. It's basically just a really loud air handler that, reverse vacuum essentially, that blows the air through a small tube, and that's pretty good for blowing dust out of like keyboards and things like that. So that's how I deal with dust if it builds up anywhere. But yeah, interesting that that you randomly came across my live stream. I was curious whether or not that type of thing would end up happening or not. My channel up until this point was medieval focused, talked a lot about swords and history and whatnot, but expanding out the purpose of the channel to do other things, and the live streams is just a way of hanging out with people. So yeah, if somehow you actually were on my channel before, maybe that's why you've actually seen it, and maybe you just didn't recognize the channel because it's been renamed. But who knows? Who knows what reason you came across this stream? Where from? Whereabouts of Italy are you from? Out of curiosity. And also, what time is it there? It's got to be pretty late. Ah, there you go. You follow Metatron, Shadowversity, and Scholargrim. So this used to be, the channel used to be Medieval Review, so that's probably why this was on your feed. I know Shad and Metatron and Skull and all of them. Yeah. So that makes sense. That's how you know. That's how you, that is how it worked. Probably less algorithm and more of just associated channel types. Except, it's not so good now, and I don't know that they routinely do Lego themed things on the other channels. But this is, since you're just joining, Naples, and it's 3:15 a.m. Well, I hope you have a good reason for being up. We're actually building this castle, this Lego castle, so mildly in theme. That's what this stream has been about for the past couple of weeks. Yeah, Metatron is from Sicily. Yeah, I've gotten to know a lot of those guys. So yeah, everyone in everyone in early morning hours in Europe watching this is crazy. I don't know that I could stay awake that long. I would be asleep personally. Hey, Scholar General, how you doing? So you're from Naples. Sorry, I didn't see that at first, Roberto. That's cool. My family, the Italian side of my family, came from the Turin area. So I don't know a ton about the exact area they came from. I'm sure I could probably at some point dig it up. I actually have a lot of my grandmother's archives, basically, the family archives. But it is the Vietti family came over to the U.S. from Italy. The family still has somewhere in the line the name of some canned goods. Vietti canned goods is actually a thing that is on some store shelves, especially in the north of the U.S. I think it's part of my family history or heritage, but not exactly. Your sleep schedule's messed up a little bit due to a damn monster. I take that as meaning a newborn kid. That would be the type of monster I would think would screw up a sleep schedule. That's a pretty cool looking thatched roof design. Works pretty well. It'll actually never stop blowing my mind, really, how many people from other parts of the world have come across my channel, one way or the other. that kind of reach is a little bit foreign. It's very, very strange to know that there are people on the other side of the world who are just tuning in just to hear me talk for some reason. The instructions here say the roof should keep the chambers warm and dry. What is this ingenious material, this straw? Or what an ingenious material, this straw. It's kind of hard to read from all the way back here. It's fine text. Couldn't think of a better way to do it with Lego unless it's a much larger scale. I've actually seen some other thatched roof designs that people have done. That people get pretty inventive, I have to say. They are not without their inventive streak with Lego. Next week I am on vacation. I plan on kicking the streams up a bit more, and I'll probably start doing some of the design work that we discussed a couple weeks ago, or whenever it was we last talked about such things. But I talked about doing some of my own model creation designs using the stud.io software. I might do some of that next week on stream. I'm hoping that I can finish the castle by next week as well. We'll see how it goes. And at some point I'll start playing around with the idea of other things we can do on live streams and ways to kind of liven it up and get some variety. Because I think just pure sitting here building Lego it's interesting enough. We got enough people on the stream right now, or at least a couple. I'm curious if anyone has actually watched the new Lord of the Rings show, or if everyone is basically not going to bother like me. Have I seen a Lego set nestled into the wall? Got a lid that's open, and then boom, it opens a mini world with lights. I have actually seen that. There was a video that was put out a few months ago that I saw that was really impressive, where they basically carved out an entire room and then rebuilt it, and they had all these little sections of their wall they could open up. Rings of Power's mess so far. Said the best part is the dwarves. Who's they? Like I said, I have not watched any of it. I haven't really kept up with it. I figured it would just annoy me more than anything else. I'll be honest, I would have probably been very willing to give it a shot, but the last trailer they dropped for it, where you have hobbits saying, or I mean, whatever they're calling them, Harfoots, saying dumb lines like "our hearts are as big as our feet," makes me completely disinterested. If that's the quality of the writing, then I don't care. I think I would love to see like the visuals of it, see what they did, how they recreated certain parts of the world, etc. Where did that go? There it went. Move that off to the side. Oh, they being a friend who's a Tolkien geek. Yeah, like I consider myself not exactly a Tolkien geek. I know a lot more than most people. Certainly not nearly as much as people who spend a lot more time with it. But I'm aware enough, and I'm a big enough fan of Tolkien's world that I'm sure I'd be annoyed by changes to things. And I just don't understand why they didn't bother. Yeah, go get some sleep, man. Uh, Good talking to you. I do the live stream. Currently trying to do it nightly during weekdays, but it doesn't always happen. So drop in anytime. The music turned you off. Yeah, the music. I don't even know what the music said or was. What memorable, whatever it was. I just know that everything I've seen from the trailers has made me not care even more so than I wasn't already caring before, right? Like it just doesn't interest me. It doesn't look very good. Which is in many ways is a shame. Like I'm actually mildly an advocate for the expansion of Middle Earth beyond the books and films as they stand today. I like the idea of adapting the world to like a television show. The problem I have is that I think as soon as you tie that television show to source material, you have to stay very, very, very true to the source material. And since they basically got the license from the appendices and that was it, they're really pigeonholed into what they can do, and anything outside of it is just not gonna fly with me. They use some modern music in the last trailer, so no orchestra at all. Yeah, that's pretty common of trailers all the time these days. Something from Two Steps from Hell or something. Well, that's more orchestrated, so maybe not even that. No, I know that it would just frustrate me ultimately when they're trying to stick to the lore, or rather when they need to stick to the lore but they probably won't. I'm kind of done. And it's not even like I'd even be okay with playing fast and loose with the lore, right? I actually found the video game Shadow of Mordor, as much as it played very fast and loose with the lore in many ways, I actually really enjoyed. I really enjoyed like the setting and the plot and the way the characters and the way they drove it, even though it was again very willing to go against established lore. It was fine. I liked that aspect. I was okay with that. So I'm actually not someone who even gets all up in arms about changes. I just don't want bad changes. I don't want changes that are so egregious that I can't deal with it. Got to be hip for the kids. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. You're going to spend more than $500 million on a television show. You're not going to just cater to a very specific fan group. Just not. But my argument for that is the thing that made it popular in the first place should bring in other people. The Lord of the Rings films brought in a lot more fans than people who had never read the books or even been aware of it, because it was a good story. You think those games nailed the portrayal of the orcs? Yeah, they not only did they nail the portrayal of the orcs, they did a really good job of just setting up the motivation of the main character. Like, I don't know if you've seen the intro to that game or played the intro to that game, or for people who haven't, like, the tutorial of the game is basically your character going and finding his wife and then having her and his son brutally murdered in front of him by the forces of Angmar, or of Mordor, basically, not Angmar, Mordor. And like basically just sets off the whole straight up cares about nothing other than revenge at that point. And it works because you don't need more of a motivation to be brutal to orcs. Just be the person who's going to go destroy all orcs because you want vengeance. Like, that's a perfectly serviceable plot. And the inclusion of Celebrimbor as a wraith is really, that's the fast and loose part. But at the same time, it wasn't the worst thing, and it fed into the gameplay. I kind of wish they maybe didn't do, they didn't do the whole Celebrimbor thing. Maybe they could have done a different wraith. But it worked, and it worked for the game, and it supported it in a way that made it fun. It's a very non-canon thing, but it was not egregious all the time. That's kind of how I viewed it. But yeah, I think that even if you make changes like Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, that game series, if you make those types of changes, they don't have to stay 100% true, but they can still kind of capture the spirit or the intent at some level. And I generally speaking, the films, the Lord of the Rings films, did a really good job of capturing the spirit of the books, even with the minor and various changes or exclusions. Yeah, the War of the North game was also really good. Yeah, I actually really like the games that come out in those series where you're not playing the main characters. And to be fair, the Two Towers and the Return of the King action games that came out were really good games, but I feel like the ones that were more compelling were the ones that were including characters that were new IPs, basically, not just aping off of the existing character base. So much like War in the North, or Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, which was the JRPG style game, which I think I talked about in the last stream, or the stream before that. They can be a lot of fun. The War in the North game had the advantage that they actually did things that the movies wouldn't do, like making the eagles talk. So you got a bit of the blend between the way the books portrayed things and the way the films portrayed things, because you had the veneer of the films, but you had it with a really good, interesting characterization of the eagles of Gwaihir. The Hobbit game from early 2000s was great. Yeah, I actually played through and completed that game a long time ago, and I think on my channel a few years ago I had started doing a series on it. Did I ever actually publish any of that? I don't even know that I did. But I was working on a playthrough of it, a let's play of it, but I never did complete it. I really like that game. That's a very good game. Alright, let's bring my thatched roof back in. Get that in the frame. Get it on here. Looking good. Next bag already. That was kind of a small bag and a lot of similar parts, so it was mildly repetitive. I think I have the same things I say about Lord of the Rings films or TV shows or whatever, I would say about Star Wars, which is the universe is big and there's plenty of interesting things that you could do with that universe. You don't have to go back to the things that everyone has already done, right? Do a Middle-earth show where you never actually mention a single one of the characters from Lord of the Rings. You don't need Galadriel, Gandalf, Frodo, any of them. Don't do any of them. Do your own unique plot in the world of, and it could be very good. Or pull in, from the expanded lore that is well beyond the scope of what was covered in the films. The world itself should be more than compelling enough to make a good TV series or a good movie or whatever. And I think that's true of Star Wars, right? I feel like there's a bit of a taste of what that could be with The Mandalorian, and there's a reason that The Mandalorian was considered so good. And it was not because of the Force or lightsabers or Jedi or any of that. It was because the world that they were creating the series in was interesting, and the characterization was interesting, Got the archer. And there's a dog in here. Is it a dog or is it it's a sheep? It's a little lamb. Little tiny lamb. Never seen that before. Yeah, Zipzax, we're talking about some of the games from the Lord of the Rings franchise. Yeah, that Hobbit game is one really good one, though. It's a good action game. Good action platformer. Very much a sign of its time, though, as well, though. It doesn't necessarily completely hold up anymore. But I also argue that the single best Lord of the Rings game is still Lord of the Rings Online. It is not only an incredibly good MMORPG, but it's an incredibly good representation of Middle-earth. I've often thought about doing kind of a virtual tour of Middle-earth on that game, and just kind of walking through the environments and talking about it. One of the many ideas I've had but never done anything about. Can I talk about games that are not Lord of the Rings? Sure. What games that are not Lord of the Rings? Used to play Two Towers and Return of the King action games all the time. There you go. Yep. All right, Zep. What video games do you want to talk about that are not Lord of the Rings? Feel free. Anything. It's open season on talking about video games. You will have my distinct interest if we talk about just about anything dealing with almost any topic, but video games is certainly one of my favorites. And it doesn't even have to be medieval based. It can be any type of game of any type of genre, and I'll be happy to talk about it. So really weird angle they have in this picture. I'm trying to replicate it so I understand where I'm putting this thing. It's here. Okay. Where the frog is. I'm hiding the frog now. Started GTA 5 and you like it. Yeah, I never really got into the GTA series. I don't like being the bad guy in anything. It doesn't really play with my sensibilities very well. So I tend to GTA series, I played GTA 3 a little bit. That was really the only one I ever really played. I actually also really don't like the controls that Rockstar Games seem to use. I find them clunky. I felt that way with Bully. I felt that way with GTA. I felt that way with Red Dead. I always feel like it's cumbersome and not responsive, but that's just my personal opinion. Templar Order, yeah, making good progress on the castle. Sure am. The main keep part is coming along pretty well. It's kind of hard to keep everything in frame these days. I think I need to see if I can, tilt that up a bit. Move it up a bit. Got to reposition so I can get more of the castle in the shot. It's getting pretty big. Alright, so my view of this needs to be this way for a while, it looks like. Here we go. How many models came with the set? Models. You mean minifigs? Bags? What do you mean models? Sorry. Or distinct separate builds? I don't. This is all one big build, from what I can tell. There's been a lot of sections that I've built, but it's all one big piece. None of it is separate right now, except for like the ox and the ox cart that I built on day one. It is primarily just the castle. Oh, the minifigs. Okay. That's a really good question. Let me count what I have right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So far, 10 minifigs that are humans and 2 animals. 1 sheep and 1 oxen. And I think there's a lot more than that. I can count the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Looks like maybe 21 minifigures. Thereabouts. A lot. Certainly one of the bigger sets. I really like, so going back to GTA, the one thing I really like and appreciate about GTA is kind of the scale of everything. You know, you have an entire city that is your playground. That aspect is really, really cool. And I'm very excited to see what a group like Rockstar can do with an engine like the Unreal 5, where they have entire cities that can be generated like in the Matrix demo. Be very curious to see what they can do with that. And you've been playing Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft is one of those games that is certainly best played with friends. You get a private server with some friends, really can't be beat. When Minecraft didn't have a plot or really enemies, and it was strictly just kind of an environmental thing, environmental building and exploring game. You know, back when Notch owned it, still. And it was a one-time purchase, download from his website type thing. My brother and I and friends basically had a private server that we would play on, and you'd log in one day and you'd see that someone had spent all night building something, and you'd go explore a house they had, and we would set up booby traps and whatnot. And there's actually a video out there that we took way back in the day where my brother set up a booby trap for one of my friends, and it dumped him into like a endless cavern basically that he had built. It's ridiculous. It might actually still be online, as crazy as that sounds. I might have that on YouTube somewhere. Maybe I can find it and post it. Let me see if I can find that. Start doing the search. It would be on one of my old personal YouTube channels. Oh, wow. Things I am finding. $10 years ago. Videos I made 10 years ago are on here. That's insane. Now that I think about it, I might have it as a video on my hard drive, but not available. Not available on YouTube would be my guess. Now that I think about it. Could be wrong. Let me see if I have it anywhere else. No, probably not. It was a funny video, mostly just because we could make fun of him for having fallen for a very obvious trap, basically. You have Minecraft server with your brothers, revisit every couple months or so. It's like a digital home for all those who spread around in different places. Yeah, it really is like it's a. You think about the concept of the metaverse that Facebook or Meta is now driving. The idea of like virtual environments and virtual interactions, which isn't anything new, but the idea of trying to brand it is kind of a thing. It's Minecraft has always kind of been that. It's been a thing that people can use and relate to, and those private servers get to be a thing that you will always cherish and have as memories, even if the server itself is long gone, like mine is. Sure, the one that we created is definitely long gone. You and your friends are making characters from Breaking Bad, and we're planning to walk around on RP servers reenacting the story. I want to be Jesse because of... I'm not sure if that's a typo or I'm a little bit confused by one of your statements, but you want to walk around as Jesse. Well, what you're going to do that on RP servers of Minecraft is what you're going to do? Minecraft crimes, yeah. And the thing is that as a game, it has its own subculture, right? And it's its own subculture that includes people who have never really gamed with anything else. Minecraft actually is its own very unique environment in so many ways. Truly a very revolutionary game in that regard. But when they started including all the ability to, like, quote unquote beat the game and the nether realm and all that stuff, that was long after I'd quit playing it. Oh, okay, sorry, gotcha. Breaking Bad character on GTA. That makes more sense. One of the funniest pranks you pulled was setting up a world with a few command blocks and then making my brother unexpectedly move 500 times faster than normal. And then made him levitate and drop. Yep. You made the back rooms of Minecraft. I've not seen that before. I've not seen anyone do the back rooms in Minecraft, so that's unique. I'm sure if someone else has done it, because as is the internet, everyone has done everything at all times. If you've had an idea, guaranteed someone else has done it. But yeah, I've not seen a backrooms Minecraft thing. It's kind of interesting. I really wish Lego had been able to do more with their kind of Minecraft competitive idea, but they let that die real quickly, so oh well. Minecraft is essentially just virtual Lego in so many forms, including now where Minecraft is actual Lego as well. Speaking of video games, I'm really excited for this Lego set that I got. You reach over and grab it. Check this one out. Horizon Zero Dawn Tall Neck. It's pretty cool, I think. As in my to build list at some point. You could send some pictures. Yeah, send some pictures of the Minecraft backrooms. I'd be curious to see that. Yeah, it's one of the more interesting quote unquote new IPs. I don't know if it counts as a new IP by the time a sequel comes out. Um, but you know the style of it is really really cool. So many good games have come out over the past couple of years. It's very hard to keep up with all the good stuff. So I tend to enjoy a lot of video games through YouTube content. I have a few channels that do whatever it is, let's plays or live streams that I'll watch and enjoy what other people are doing. It's the easiest way for me to consume the video game medium right now. But I also, sometimes I have this really heavy resistance to spending a lot of time playing video games when I do get time. So I feel like I waste my time at that point. You know, at this point, a couple of years not playing video games, focusing on kids and doing other things. If I'm not materially making some sort of progress somewhere, I kind of feel bad, like I haven't done anything. So I try to limit that a good bit these days. Mostly stick to a few core games you cycle through. That's honestly the main way I do video games. I have Lord of the Rings Online, which I'll jump on to explore every once in a while. I have a lifetime account on that, so it's always free to me, even though it's free to play now. Like, all the stuff is free. And I just like to explore the world periodically, but I don't play it a lot anymore. The Division is always a go-to for me. There's a couple of different styles of games that I enjoy. I really like to actually play Diablo 3. It's one that I've not ever played, believe it or not. And I recently thought about all the Diablo games and was like, wow, I should really go play Diablo 3. Because Diablo 1 and 2 are some of my favorite old school games. Age of Empires 2. I'm assuming AoE is Age of Empires. I'm going to assume that. Minecraft, 7 Days to Die, Oblivion, Skyrim, yeah. Yeah, those are all good games. And I don't blame anyone for always going back and revisiting the games they really enjoy. Just because there are new games doesn't mean you have to play them. You want to play NASCAR Heat 5 but don't have the steering wheel? You know, the last time I really got really heavy into video gaming, a couple of years ago at this point. By a couple, I mean quite a few years ago. When I bought a virtual reality setup. Had the Oculus and the Steam software set up, and got really into playing VR games, and that was about the last time I really played heavy in games. On the channel, I did a couple live streams of the game For Honor, and I think I actually played and beat that game on stream, if I'm not mistaken, a while back. That was kind of the last time I sat down and did a lot of serious video game playing. Beyond that, it was, poking around in the Division games and playing Lord of the Rings Online here and there, and being a filthy casual with phone games or something like that periodically. But even that, like, I don't really play phone games anymore. I just try to find other things to do. Making videos and training is what takes up your free time. And there you go. Exactly. You found something that is highly productive, that is not playing video games. And it will eat up your time, and that's okay. Because you're doing two things. You're either bettering yourself in some material way, or you are undergoing a creative endeavor. But I will also never frown upon people who want to play their video games and enjoy it. It's a type of art form to appreciate and enjoy. I don't think there's anything real wrong with it. It's just, like I said, sometimes I feel like when I don't get something done, I feel kind of bad. So it's all about balance for me. This says, this bell will do well to warn the townsfolk if the wolf pack marauders should one day return. Ah, yes, the wolf pack. So we're building a bell tower. That's cool. I look forward to building that. Got the bell that we're putting in right now. This castle has everything. It's got all the things. You just get chess on your phone. Yeah. Well, there are definitely some phone games that when they come out, I say phone games, but it's really, games that will eventually come out on the phone that if they did, I would probably play. But I don't know that I'd ever do anything more than casually. I actually played Diablo Immortal for, the first month that it launched. But once I hit the pay-to-win aspect and the massive grind that game is, I lost interest. I couldn't keep up with it. It was a fun game for the first 5 hours or so when you were actually playing a storyline-based game-ish. But then eventually you weren't playing that anymore, and it wasn't nearly as fun. Not to say that it wasn't a fairly decent Diablo experience on the phone, given what it is, but just I don't have an interest in a game where it's going to drive me to just have to pay money for absolutely everything. Zep, didn't you ask me this question on the last stream? Do I still have the Lego UCS RV? Or in other words, the Breaking Bad RV? And I'm assuming that's what you're asking me. Do I still have the Breaking Bad RV? And the answer is yes. It is right behind me. I've also been asked the question multiple times whether or not I build Gundam models as well. And I actually have a better answer for that because I actually built a Lego Gundam model type thing. Not really Gundam, but, giant mech. Like I said, Breaking Bad is one of my all-time favorite shows. I couldn't pass up the chance to actually have a Lego-ish, not really Lego, building blocks-ish Breaking Bad thing. Yeah. Yeah, let's do camera number 2 here. Camera number 2. Scroll down. It is right there. There it is. There's the Breaking Bad RV. With, see if I can get it close enough. With Jesse and Walter right there. Oh, I didn't answer where I got it from. I didn't realize that question had been asked. It is a Chinese off-brand model. And I say that the actual instructions should be on Rebrickable. So if you don't know what Rebrickable is, you should go check it out. Rebrickable is basically where people can post their instructions for their own designs, and you will find things like the Breaking Bad RV. Generally speaking, the things that you find on Rebrickable are focused primarily on things that can be recreated using Lego, which means minifigures, as an example, you can't always accurately recreate. But you do have Chinese companies as well as other companies that will produce minifigures to look like characters from something. So I highly recommend, if you want it done super properly, you go on Rebrickable, you find the RV version that you like, you buy the instructions there. At the very least, you should always buy the instructions for whatever you get, because a lot of the Chinese companies that build the kits for these things, the off-brand Lego kits, they honestly, quite honestly, they steal the instructions, so they're kind of stealing the intellectual property of the person who designed it, and that's that's not cool. So you want to make sure that the person who did the design gets their gets their pay for what they did, and it's usually a couple of it's a couple of dollars usually. The really big sets might be like $20 for instructions, but a set like that is probably going to be like anywhere between $1 and maybe $7 at most. It really just depends, and you'll find a lot of different versions of the things out there. And then you can either take the rebrickable thing and you can directly import the parts list into Bricklink and just buy Lego parts to build it, or you can go on a site like AliExpress or one of the Chinese reseller type sites and buy it as an off-brand. Just again, know that when you're buying that, you're likely buying something that was stolen intellectual property in many cases, and you should be aware of that and try to actually make that right for the person who actually put the effort to design things into it. But yeah, that's where I got it, was off of AliExpress basically, because I just wanted the build. I didn't care about it being made completely out of Lego. That said, one of the things I plan on building over the week of my birthday, and I say over the week of, like, it'll be like a one-day thing, but I bought all the pieces to do the van, the dog van from Dumb and Dumber, and so I'll be building that at some point. Now, I might even do that on stream. It's just a way to hang out and build something that isn't necessarily the castle. But the instructions and the parts list and all that I got off of Rebrickable, and then I just took the parts list. I went to the local Lego reseller store nearby, went to their bin of loose parts, grabbed 75% of the parts I needed that I could find just by searching through a bin, and then I purchased the rest on Bricklink, basically. All right, putting this tower right up here. I actually bought custom minifigures for the Dumb and Dumber van of Lloyd and, oh man, what's his name? How did I forget the names of the characters from Dumb and Dumber? That's sad. Harry and Lloyd. I bought custom minifigures of them to put in the van as well. So I'll have one really big kit of a great Lego, not Lego but Lego built set. Pretty great. Rebrickable is a great site though to just explore what other people come up with, because there are some really cool things on there. Even some very cool castle things. When they did the village blacksmith, or the most recent blacksmith medieval thing they did like 2 years ago, a lot of people took that design and replicated it across many different kind of medieval village type things. So it's got a consistency with it in terms of the visual look, but it's different things. You get like the village fisherman, or the village lumberjack, and the village market square, and all these things, and they all are very consistent. And since Lego hasn't really done a lot of medieval themed things, like as an actual ongoing theme anyway, it's how a lot of people have gotten their fix. All right. This is coming together. One of the things that I do appreciate about custom minifigure designers, a lot of which are not actually official Lego parts, they are the knockoff that come out of China. But one of the things I do appreciate about it is that their quality has generally gone up a lot, and they are a lot more focused on IPs and things that are never going to be touched by Lego. In like a million years, Lego will never do anything with it. And so you'll be able to get like R-rated films or horror films that then you can have a Lego character of. So I have like Lego Chucky and Lego Jason and Lego Freddy, as it were. Of course, it's not actually Lego. Again, it's not pieces produced by Lego, but it's all the same look and design. That's something that Lego, the actual company, is starting to put a bit of a smackdown on. They are none too happy with people using the minifigure design outside of them. So they're using it now as a, they're beginning to defend those intellectual property rights a lot more, is what I'm understanding to be the case these days. Got some flags to put on here. Figure out where this thing is. Oh, it's way over here. And they don't have the flags all pointing in the same direction, so that's going to drive me insane. Flags should always point the same direction, because that's how wind works, generally speaking. Maybe the wind is moving funny because there's a big building in the way. Who knows? And yeah, we get these new, I say new, we get some of these big printed pieces on fabric as well. So let's see here. Couple of different banners and things. We'll go right there. More trees to place on this other side. Make sure I get it in the right spot, roughly. And lots of little flowers to put in place. I feel like a lot of the main part of this has really come together at this point. I know the rest of it is kind of building a gatehouse and everything, and some trees and whatnot based on the picture. Oh, I'm missing like a whole front facade of this thing. Goodness, this thing is gonna be huge when it's done. I think I'm only about halfway done at this point in terms of total footprint. Pretty crazy. And I'll do a quick tour of it once I get this bag complete. Get all these flowers put into place. I think that's it. So there we go. We've come full circle because we talked about Dolly earlier at the very beginning of the stream. And yes, to answer the question, yes, I have done an AI driven image generator. I actually used the Dolly Mini. I totally forgot that's what it was called, but I did use it once or twice just to play around with, but not super seriously. And so much so that I forgot what it was called until someone asked me if I had used it. So I couldn't remember what it was until they reminded me. So yes. Oh, that's interesting. The little trap door is this market stall. All right. So not only have I reached the end of instruction booklet number 1, which means I need to go pull up number 2 for next time. But I can do a quick walkthrough of the castle that we have at this point. All right, so let's pull up the full screen here. Move this back a bit. All right, so this is a top-down view of the castle thus far. Rotated around a bit. And the front facade here is yet to be built. So there's going to be a whole gatehouse section piece that's going to build out to this area. So I think I'm about half the footprint size. And that's going to be the other half of the instruction booklet, the other half of the parts. So, and then the actual castle itself, we'll do an outside tour and then an inside tour. Let's see if I flip this around. This is one thing I don't like, is that I get all the on-screen stuff when I do this. So I'll flip it around this way. So let's do the walkthrough. We have our water wheel, which rotates. Nice little kind of treed-in area over here. A tall bell tower, which even has a slightly hard to see. Let's shed some light on it here. Sorry. You got a bell in there. So there you go. That's the bell tower, with a nice little lookout area that someone can stand. Got the thatched roof with the actual mud and wattle. Market stall. This market stall tilts forward to give this hidden entrance to this underground space here. So many hard shadows on everything. Little underground space hidden under that market stall. There's an entrance in here that we'll go into in a moment, as well as these stairs that go down. And this is the other side of the castle. And the next step is to open it up, which we can do hopefully easily. It's weird because when it catches, it's harder to open. There we go. So it opens this way. And yeah, there's a golden frog. Someone just said golden frog. The golden frog is actually under... It's a little bit hard to see. So underneath this ladder, there's a little golden frog back in there. Let's see if I can zoom in enough and get light on it. I don't know that I can. There you go. Oh dear, can't quite get it. Can't quite get the light where I need. But there's a golden frog back there that when this opens, as I come around this side, the wall actually closes off and you will no longer be able to see Golden Frog. So right there. If I were to flip this up, sorry, so hard to get all this working. If I flip this up, it's probably easier to see when that opens just a little bit. Here's a little golden frog hidden in the wall. Flip that back down. And so this entrance right here enters into this little fireplace and harpsichord hall right there. Above it is a child's playroom with the original Lego castle model being built, and a small door that leads out into the balcony area. Below that is the kitchen area with an oven that doesn't have a chimney that goes anywhere, and also a cool little fountain of water, fresh water coming in. And then on the other side of that, you get the mill that when you turn the water wheel, it turns the mill, as you can see. And you get some nice little waterfall-ish type features at the water wheel. Then you have across from your harpsichord and fireplace, you have the dining area with the different heraldry shields up there with 2 wooden chairs. And above that you get a bedroom that's very much, it's on the other side of this kid's bedroom, so it's a bedroom for a kid, I suppose. And that is the tour thus far of the castle build. So it's really starting to come together. It's a pretty complex and interesting build with a lot of different features. One of my favorites of which is definitely this balcony, where it starts off as a balcony, but when you open it, it becomes an archway. So it's 2 different architectural features in one, depending on whether or not the model is open or closed. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's the build as it stands thus far. It is coming along. Latch it all together, and I'll be able to move that off to one side probably for a little while. Pretty cool. So yeah, whole thing is really beginning to come along. Whole nother half booklet to go here. Of course I do it digitally, but tons of minifigures on this other part. And to give you an idea of just how much we have left to build, I'll go to the new instructions, the second booklet, scroll down. We have to build all of this right here. Oh, that's not right. There we go. All of that we're going to be building next. Quite a lot. So, be just as much an adventure in building as it has been thus far. And that was 2 bags in basically about an hour and a half, which is a lot faster than it normally is. So, pretty cool. Yeah, send me pictures of the backrooms thing. I'll open up Discord, so when you send things, I'll be able to see it. That's a good idea. castle reminds you of Castlevania? Yeah. I don't know that it's gothic enough for that, but yeah. Castlevania is also a very good game. I like the Castlevania games. I am very happy with this Lego castle set thus far, though. It's really cool. I wish they would do more things like this. It's unfortunate that a lot of times it's the prohibitively expensive sets that are some of the best to build, but they are really worth it, spending the time doing it, enjoying the process of building it, having something really cool to display at the end of everything, and yeah, just having all the intricate details is really awesome. So, and you get a ton of minifigures, which is great. Good to have all these little minifigures. Also a big draw. All right, so for the nobody who watches this stream who cares about baseball, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. The New York Mets just lost their game to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Atlanta Braves are going to be starting. Actually, I think they should have already started with the Athletics, and it's the top of the third, and the Braves lead 6-1. If the Braves win this game, they have tied in the division, and they are then poised to overtake the Mets as the number one team in the NL East. So as a fan of Braves baseball, it has been a very productive and good night. Should put the game on. See how things are going on the actual game. That's why I was wearing headphones in the first place. I had it all turned off because it was a late start to the game. But yeah, 6-1 is a pretty hefty lead, so wouldn't surprise me if we're actually gonna overtake and overcome here pretty soon. Very exciting time to be a fan of the Braves. And if you don't think if you think you don't care about baseball or cricket or those types of games, just remember that the dynamics of a baseball bat or a cricket bat or those types of things are very similar to those of swords. So you can apply sword dynamic concepts to bats and have the same concepts. All right. You'd rather watch competitive knitting than baseball. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you feel that way. I know some sports are not for everyone, and that's okay. I would rather watch competitive knitting than most other sports, to be honest. Baseball's about the only sport I care about, so I know how you feel. The good thing of something like even sports you don't care about is when people have sports watching parties at their house, like Super Bowl parties. You get tons of hot wings you can eat, and that's always a good time. Yeah. No, I would not rag anyone for liking anything. I agree with that. Generally speaking, some people like sports, some people don't like sports. Some people only like sports, some people don't care about sports at all, and to each their own. We all have our interests, and that's cool. Again, I really don't watch sports except for baseball. I don't keep up with football, neither soccer nor American football or all those things. I mildly pay attention to things like MMA, but only very mildly. Generally speaking, I put my energies elsewhere. And when it comes to competitive spirit, I'm also not one of those people that like hates on people because they like one team over another. I don't hate the Mets fans for liking the Mets. I want us to beat the Mets, but at the end of the day, they love their team as much as I love mine. That's fine. Eating hot wings. Now there's a sport you can get behind. That's right. My favorite sport is eating hot wings. In fact, one of the things I'm planning on doing on my vacation, as ridiculous as it sounds, is I'm going to try to hit up all the major wings places near where I live and try to figure out who has the best hot wings. I'm going to eat hot wings for lunch basically every day. And I'm probably going to hate my life at the end of it. But it's been a long time since I've eaten a lot of wings. So I'm going to try to do that. I love hot wings. So let's see if I can find that video would have been. Don't think I'm going to be able to. Well, something keeps buzzing me. Hopefully not work. Thankfully not work. I'm seeing some friend requests on Discord though, so I will accept those. As a good reminder, if you are not on the Discord, join the Discord. I'll post a link. I should have been doing that earlier, but I forgot. There's the Discord channel for everyone. Feel free to join it. People, it's not highly trafficked, but people do talk on it periodically. Your favorite sport is professional Lego stepping competition. No thank you. One of my favorite t-shirts that I have is it's a play on the Gadsden flag, which is the snake in the grass that says "Don't tread on me." So it's like a yellow background with a green, but instead of a snake, it's a Lego brick, and it says "Don't tread on me." Because I'd rather step on a snake than a Lego brick. One of the local that local Lego place makes t-shirts, or they have a bunch of t-shirts you can buy there, and that's one of them. It was immediately one of my favorite shirts. Okay, I got these direct messages coming in for the backrooms in Minecraft. Oh yeah, that works really well. Fun with liminal spaces. Throw this on screen for people to see. There you go. That is the back rooms in Minecraft. So the ground is going to be sand. What are the walls and lights made of? I'm curious. Zep can probably answer that for us, but what are the walls and the lights made of? What materials are those blocks? And I'm going to go find the Breaking Bad RV. There's a lot of them on Rebrickable. Tons and tons of them. So let me see if I can find the one that I made. This is the one that I made. Frog lights. Walls are concrete, the ceiling is... So what is a frog light? Floor is wool, and the walls are yellow concrete. Okay. I don't know what frog lights are. Those didn't exist when I played Minecraft, I suppose. These concepts did not exist when I played it. For everyone's benefit, here is Rebrickable. And here is the Breaking Bad RV. This is the one that I built. And it is 6 pounds. So approximately, I can't do that conversion in my head right now. It's like, what, $7 maybe? Is that right? I don't know what the conversion rate is. It is a light source which is created when a frog eats a magma cube. Okay. Interesting. But anyway, so this is the Breaking Bad RV. And it's got this. This is the one weird part about the build is the door flips up instead of out. It's kind of silly. But the interior actually has the lab built out, which is pretty cool. But there are all these other versions as well out there that people have designed, some of which might actually be better than the one that I built. And let's get this searched for. And then this is the Dumb and Dumber van that I'm going to be building. So I got all the parts for it. And so, yeah, I bought the instructions for about, I think it was about $7 US or whatever it is. And then I got all the parts for it. It's about $70 worth of parts. Just because the tan brick colors end up having a lot of really special or very unique or small production pieces. So they're very expensive individual pieces. Normally a set this size would only be like $35-40. But because of the special pieces, it drove the price upwards of close to $70. But I was able to get so many of the parts for cheaper that that I think I'll end up building it for about $50. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And no, these are and to be clear, what you're buying here is only possible in Lego. It's, man, the A's are knocking in home runs. They've now closed the lead. It's 6-5. That's unfortunate. But like, this just the instructions, and the intent of Rebrickable is to build these things in Lego. But very often what you can find is some company in China will produce sets. They'll produce all the parts for these and make them a single one-stop purchase set that you can buy off of like AliExpress. And you can get those for a third the price of Lego parts, basically. So what would be like a $60 set would be $20, as an example. But you run into all the issues that you run into when you're doing a non-Lego building set, which is like poor part quality, and you tend to have problems with fitting and temperature, like impact to the parts. So getting actual Lego parts is better. But I look forward to building the van. It should be fun to build that van. I need to actually reminds me, I need to get sticker paper so I can print off the decals for it. But yeah. And then I got custom Lego minifigures of the Dumb and Dumber characters. So, should be fun. Alright, everyone. Well, we are at 10:30. Got a good bit of progress done on this castle. Probably call it a night right there. So I hope everyone has a good night. And I guess I'll see you all in the next stream. Oh, as a note, I probably won't be doing a stream Thursday night again. And I probably won't be doing a stream Friday night. So it might just be today and tomorrow this week. But the following week, the week of my birthday, I'll likely be spending a lot more time doing streams. And at different times of the day, likely earlier in the day. So if you want to catch if you're around, you can have an earlier stream, as it were. I'll post everything when it's going to happen. But yeah, tomorrow night we'll have one. Probably won't have any for the rest of the week, though. So have a good night, everyone.